to your soul, to your soul. You leave in the morning with everything you own in a little black case. Alone on the platform, the wind and the rain and the sad and lonely face. Mother will never understand why you had to leave, but the answers you seek will never be found at home. The love that you seek will never be found at home. Run away, turn away, run away, turn away, run away. Run away, turn away, run away, turn away, run away. Pushed around and kicked around, always a lonely boy. You were the one they talked about around town when they put you down. But as hard as they will try, they try to make you cry. But you never cried to them, just to your soul. No, you never cried to them, just to your soul. Run away, turn away, run away, turn away, run away. Run away, turn away, run away, turn away, run away.
Powerful muscles ripple under the shiny black coat. The hearty, bejacketed girl rubs and scours at her horse. Why must she do this at the crack of dawn? My teenage body needs morning sleep. She is so fierce and deep with her hand strokes, the horse getting a great massage. I'd love a massage like that. I mean, it wasn't that it could be any cleaner. You can see your face in the shine of that coat. I remain unmassaged, stood in the corner of the stable. Few muscles, very few. Blackheads, terrible glasses, long hair over the collar, and a paisley shirt. Well, it was the mid-80s.
I almost saw something move there.
Years before, the snarl of the headmaster's voice above and behind me at the school.
There. There was definitely a twitch in that calf muscle.
Trudging shamefully along the school corridor in my hated baggy PE kit, as if designed to make my already skinny legs look even skinnier.
Do you know that guy, Arnold Schwarzenegger? He can crack a walnut with his eyelids. What do you think about that?
The boys and girls giggled nervously. Apart from Anna, who holds my gaze in her beautiful hazel eyes, as if inviting me to be safe there.
It's okay. I see you.
Every Thursday evening, I make homemade fudge for Anna. Cut into small 11-year-old girl-size pieces, tin of condensed milk, brown sugar. Anna always takes the fudge very gratefully, a kind smile and a downward cast of her eyes, but the longed-for kiss never comes. I refer you back to the skinny legs and the gym shorts flapping like warning flags in the wind.
Stay away.
Claire powerfully commands her horse over the course, high up on top of that giant animal, hair tucked neatly under her riding cap, powering the beast over the fences, driving him on and on and on. Her father, the wing commander, prowls the corridor lest I come too close to his precious daughter. I imagine he keeps a horsewhip for the purpose, should I ever creep out of the guest bedroom, down the corridor to Claire's room, adorned with pink flowers and posters of Cyndi Lauper, Madonna, Spandau Ballet, and Paul Young. Paul Young's spiky hair looks cooler than mine. I think he can afford better product. Claire's affection for me is restricted to her weekly swalk letters, which she seals with lipstick, adorns with pink hearts, and a spritz of her perfume. But in person, I'm too much, too problematic, too awkward. And so she brushes and brushes the gleaming coat, and I stand and fumble and sullenly chew my lip. On the train back from Ipswich with no kiss in my mouth, past the small towns of Manningtree and Diss, and home to Norwich, a fine city. I remember what Noel Coward had said about Norfolk.
Very flat.
Is this it? This is not what I thought I'd been promised. As we had curled around each other at the teenage sleepover, and an innocent orgy around us unfolded of tentative French kisses, fingers under bra straps, the smell of Carlsberg's special brew spilt on the carpet, the noise and smell of someone puking in the next room, and an angry, uninformed parent barking at the door.
Long afloat on shipless oceans, I did all my best to smile till your singing eyes and fingers drew me loving to your isle, and you sang, sail to me, sail to me, let me enfold you. Here I am, here I am, waiting to hold you. Did I dream? You dreamed about me. Were you here when I was flotsam? Now my foolish boat is leaning, broken love lorn on your rocks. For your sake, touch me not, touch me not, come back tomorrow.
Liz Fraser's voice is the best thing about this summer, and I lose myself in her strange swirling and ethereal melodies, and dream of mountains.
Here I am, here I am, waiting to hold you.
The cockerel on top of the cathedral is actually the size of a pig.
A famous Norwich fact, much beloved of local tour guides. Yeah, of course, from the ground it looks tiny. The cathedral spire soars up above the city. On a moonlit night, The moon shines next to it, picture, postcard, perfect. They cuddle and shiver on the bench. She is wearing an almond-colored cable knit sweater and her very cool long black leather coat. Her Joe Orton coat, as popularized by Gary Oldman in the film Prick Up Your Ears. Her hair is bright red, burning like a torch. It is a source of heat in that chilly autumnal night. It is the color of the turning leaves. She is so beautiful. She snuggles into him, and he feels for the first time in his life like a man, though he was still skinny and gawky. In later years, he would be happy that he remained relatively slim as others spread into middle age, but as a youth in the 80s, to be skinny was a curse. It was the age of gyms and bodybuilders and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the femmy or skinny look was definitely not in, unless you were Prince or Boy George, and even then. But she didn't seem to mind his skinny boyishness. In fact, it is probably what turned her on. She is 5 years older than him, the magical age of 21, so beloved of pop magazines like Smash Hits and Page 3 of The Sun. Even better, as well as being a local actor, she actually works in the music industry and is a session player for the punk group The Damned. How was he with this incredible being? Why had she chosen him? The bench is their only home for those first few magical months. She's a secret from his parents, and it is too soon for her to invite him to her flat on the other side of town, though that would happen in time. They talk about everything. It is that magical honeymoon time where lovers say things like,
You like coffee? That's amazing. I love coffee too.
or,
You like the Cocteau Twins? That's insane. That's my favorite band too.
or,
You like breathing air?
that's incredible. I love to breathe air too. They are so young. Death so impossibly far away. Eternity spreads out before them, and they dream of moving to Paris and following in the footsteps of Sartre, Orwell, and Simone de Beauvoir. It becomes these days as giggly as a glass of champagne, and he can hardly sleep for thinking of her. In the play, they are cast as lovers, and it is a period piece, so he has to wear a very stiff collared shirt, much stiffer than his school uniform, which he always wears with the top button undone anyway. One night, they gather, as they always do, with the other characters for the play's denouement, a scene as stiff as his collar, set in a Victorian parlour. In front of the crowd in that theatre, she slowly traces her hand down his back, down past his shirt tails and onto his left buttock, which she gives a squeeze to, her hand lingering there for a moment. The scene continuing, the audience completely unaware. It is the most arousing thing he has ever experienced. At the play's end, her eyes sparkle at him. As they walk off stage, she whispers,
I think you need to lose something soon.
and the next week, to his astonishment, at only 16, he does! Far earlier than he'd ever imagined. His cycle home that night is like Elliot with E.T. cycling across the moon. And that also was the beginnings of his lunacy, his insanity, which lasted for so many years. And he remembers, as he cycles home that night, his first ever sentence uttered as a 2-year-old. I can see it. The moon.
I wanted to be with you alone, to talk about the weather, but tradition I could trace against the child in your face won't escape my attention. You keep your distance with your system of touch and gentle persuasion. I'm lost in admiration. Could I need you this much? Oh, you're just wasting my time, wasting my time. Something happens and I'm head over heels. I never find out till I'm head over heels. Something happens and I'm head over heels. take my heart, don't break my heart, don't throw it away. Throw it away, throw it away. I'm made of fire and watching it burn. Thought of your future. With one foot in the past now, just how long will it last? Have you no ambition? My mother and my brothers used to breathe in clean air and dreaming I'm a doctor. It's hard to be a man when there's a gun in your hand, gun in your hand. Something happens and I'm head over heels and never find out till I'm head over heels. Something happens and I'm head over heels. Don't take my heart, don't break my heart, don't throw it away. Throw it away. Throw it away. This is my four-leaf clover. I'm on the line, open mind. This is my four-leaf clover. In my mind's eye, one little boy, one little man. Funny how time flies.
Very neatly placed little shoes. A sign without needing any words. A coward's way out, maybe.
It's time for you to go.
Placed at exactly 90 degrees to the soft, very feminine bed where I had lost my virginity 8 months before.
There's someone else.
They were not my shoes. They were not her shoes. There followed rage and fury and frustration, which in a way is understandable, forgivable, right? The betrayal of an adolescent is a terrible thing. I remember trying to rip up the yellow pages, but I was about as far from being Charles Atlas as was possible to imagine. So I made a kind of circular art piece of the yellow pages and placed it in the center of Lisa's living room. Turner Prize Award winning! Now I was going to leave forever. A flat on the other side of the hill, a little nest, a sanctuary that challenged my creaky butcher's bike. Norfolk is meant to be flat, but Norwich isn't.
Very flat, Norfolk.
A cancer diagnosis shortly after I moved in. The universe whispering,
Oh no. You don't get away that easily. What makes you think you're so special?
I was just 17, like the magazine. Nursing her through her cancer diagnosis, reassuring her through her terrible humiliation. Love, it doesn't bother me at all.
I hate that I smell.
It doesn't bother me at all. It was the 80s. If you had chemo, you weren't allowed to wash. Her beautiful hair shaved at the sides and beginning to come out in clumps, shedding more hair on her pillow than her cat did. 21. A bit young for the big C. She lived halfway up St. Clement's Hill.
Oranges and lemons
I cycled home, back to my family home. Stopped off in Chapelfield Gardens, put on my Walkman, pressed the chunky play button, listened to the Smiths, the Cocteau Twins, the Cure, and the Smiths again.
Last night I dreamt.
I sat on a bench in the June sun and saw the young couples kissing. I felt sick. I wanted to be like them, snogging in the June sun, fingers fumbling under bra straps, Levi 501 stiff buttons coming undone. I looked the other way and saw the drunks starting early on their pre-lunch cider and thought about joining them. That would be better than this. And I cycled home into my past for a while.
There's a little black spot on the sun today. It's the same old thing as yesterday. There's a black hat caught on a high tree top. There's a pole rag and the wind won't stop. I have been here before inside the pouring rain. With the world turning circles running round my brain. I guess I'm always hoping that you'll end this rain. But it's my destiny to be the king of pain. There's a little black spot on the sun today. It's the same old thing as yesterday. There's a black hat caught on a high tree top. There's a flagpole rag and the wind won't stop. I have been here before inside the pouring rain. With the world turning circles running round my brain. I guess I'm always hoping that you'll end this rain. But it's my destiny to be the king of pain. There's a king on his throne with his eyes wide shut. There's a blind man looking for a shadow of doubt. There's a rich man sleeping in his golden bed. There's a beggar man choking on a crust of bread.
It was a fishing tackle box, but served well for his theatre makeup. Not that he'd ever been fishing, nor ever would. He didn't have the patience. He was in too much of a hurry. The old hams at the local amateur theatre swore by
5 and 9,
which were 2 sticks of very old-fashioned makeup, which when combined formed a strong foundation that would work well under the lights. But as he stared at his face in the glamorous light bulb-ringed dressing room mirror, he wasn't at all sure about the look of the 5 and 9. As he moved from the absurdity of the tiger stripes, which he then massaged together to produce a colour that resembled nothing so much as the orange after effects of the sunbed parlours that used to proliferate throughout the 80s. As the tanned body reigned supreme on the television, with Face from the A-Team being the poster boy, quite literally, in my little sister's case. The panel at the Central School of Speech and Drama looked at him in astonishment. He was only 17, far too young to get a place, but they took his money anyway.
And what will your Shakespeare piece be, young man?
Antony from Antony and Cleopatra.
Really? Well, in your own time.
He was hardly a barrel-chested warrior, as that part would have demanded. And this misperception of his casting type dogged him as the 80s passed into the 90s, but he was cast as the fool in King Lear at that same amateur theatre, a part he loved, and he loved it even more when a girl he fancied at a party couldn't believe he was the same person who'd actually played Lear's fool.
But you look completely different.
Well, that's acting.
You, like, totally transformed. You're like De Niro or something.
Well, thank you. It was around this time that he began to start describing himself, without irony, as the greatest actor in Europe. Not Norfolk, not England, Europe. That night ended with some tentative fumbling with her and her best mate. And this was as close as he's yet been to the experience of watching Beatrice Dow in Betty Blue at Cinema City in 1986. Betty Blue begins with a scene of the most extraordinary and joyous fucking. It lasts 2 minutes with no dialogue, just the sounds of the grunts and moans from Betty and Zorg, and then the killer first line of voiceover.
Ça faisait une semaine que j'avais rencontré Betty.
I had known Betty for a week. Really? A week? You get to that stage in a week? Tiny minds blown! He had always done theatre as a way to hang out with women. When he was 11, rather precociously, he had written his first play, which was a combination of a Revenge of the Pink Panther-style script with a James Bond one. He cast himself as James Bond, obviously, and his beloved Anna as the French spy. In the 80s, his role models were Kenneth Branagh and Steven Berkoff, who could both equally have played Antony from Antony and Cleopatra. He founded an acting ensemble when he was just 17, named after the lyrics to a Prince song, Stomping Feets.
Ridiculous.
As he played Bond in that primary school hall, he fired shots over that hated place where the gym horse stood as a silent rebuke that it was impossible for him to spring his body over. And he stood at the edges of the hall in his hated baggy gym shorts, always the humiliating last to be picked for the football. As the decade turned, he found himself striding down South Clark Street with a Renaissance-style shirt that he had stolen from that same 5 and 9 theatre, an actress on each arm, to be accosted by an Edinburgh casual.
Then he be so wide with your birds.
Which he didn't understand at all. Local dialect?
Eh?
But it was true. The theatre did make him feel wide, powerful, capacious. Roaring into the dark, with 5 and 9 on his face, his war paint, his armor, shouting at night, roaring into the dark, releasing, and finding his power!
I would say I'm sorry. I would do most anything to have you back by my side, but I just keep on laughing, hiding the tears in my eyes, because
Boys don't cry. Boys don't cry. Boys don't cry. Boys don't cry.
Once upon a time, there was a little boy who had a black and red bedroom. Prefiguring the Gothic tendencies that would emerge in his mid-teens, when his mum asked him what colour he would like to use to make over the floral granny-ish wallpaper in his room, he answered straight back, black and red. The mother and the son did it together, and it looked perfect. The boy wasn't all that great at practical things, but his mother was brilliant at DIY and had the pleasure of doing it together and saving them the money of getting someone in. In fact, so impractical was the boy that his father had a nickname for him,
Practical man.
though in fact, it was the father who was impractical. And the boy had often witnessed him roaring with rage at one of those stupid petrol-driven lawnmowers that we had in the 80s, with one of those starter ropes that you had to pull with great force, and the engine would tick over and fail to engage, and then it would eventually, and the engine would roar with as much force as the expletives that had burst from his father's lips. Fucking arsehole! Cunt! Fucker! Fucker! Cunt! For his 15th birthday, his grandfather had bought him an electric razor. And this was hardly necessary, because apart from the slightest fuzzy down on his cheeks and a strange single witchy hair that sprouted from a mole on his chin, the son really didn't need to shave. He unpacked the razor with some fear because he didn't function well with electronic things, put the batteries in, and began to drag the thing gingerly over his lower face. It hurt his skin, kept catching on his single witchy hair, and he either pushed too forcefully or not forcefully enough, and he began to get tearful and cross with this stupid machine. The father enters the room in a fury. He seems like a giant, blocking out all light. The rather small, cross-legged boy looks up at him with tears of frustration in his eyes. He looks up at the towering giant helplessly. The razor buzzes. The father snatches the razor and straddles the boy, pinning him to the floor like a sheep, and begins to scrape the thing inexpertly again and again over the boy's soft cheeks. The boy can't move. The room boils. The father removed not a single hair. The razor buzzes and scrapes at the boy's soft skin as if the machine itself is furious. In his fury, the father throws the razor at the wall, and the buzzing finally stops.
There! Now be quiet!
The father leaves the room, and his energy, which had filled the space like a roaring petrol fire, is sucked into a vacuum. Tinnitus ringing in the little boy's ears. His mother stands frozen at the door. Had she been there the whole time? Why hadn't she stopped him? Softly, sadly, slowly, she removes herself from the door frame, and the boy is alone in the black and red bedroom. The 110 pictures of Madonna that he has on his wall look on impassively. His tears freeze within him and become rage. In the years that followed, he too would act out with the mechanical things and cause terror to those who loved him the most. Mechanical things had indeed been the curse of this family. When my father was only a few years younger than the boy was in this memory, his own father had been killed in a car accident. It was the 50s, no seatbelts. When my father awoke from his coma, his father was already buried, and he was then told that he had to be the man of the house at 11 years old. But that job was part-time at best, because he was then sent to boarding school. The gentle, vulnerable boy hardened and put on his armor to survive. In retrospect, it's not really very surprising that he had such strong feelings towards mechanical things, or that they were able to trigger such rage in him. Razors, lawnmowers, cars. The little boy's black and red bedroom is unchanged to this day, like some sort of strange shrine to the 80s, with an anti-apartheid poster, 3 pictures of screaming faces, and 110 pictures of Madonna. Some things don't change, but if we apply ourselves, they can. The black and the red.
You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged, though I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can't lose sight of it all, and the darkness so inside makes you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show. Show me a smile. Don't be unhappy, don't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy, you can take in all you can. You call me up because you know I'll be there. But I see your true colors shine. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show. True colors, true colors. Like a rainbow, England expects.
It suited him, the red bib.
Best bib and tucker.
Where does that phrase come from? The fashion was fleeting, however. They had got up early, so early for teenagers, like 6 a.m. or something ungodly. Giggly, they rode the first bus of the day towards their school, dragging out the red flag from the school satchel every now and again to take a sneaky peek. Secret rebellion, like the scraps of the pornographic magazines they swapped at the school. A leg was 10 pence, a breast 20 pence, and so on. It was still dark. The other people on the bus were shelf stackers, road workers, nurses, those whose routine demanded this early morning start as they tried to eke out a living as the country contracted under Thatcher austerity. They wore long Russian greatcoats, which they used to disguise their hideous turquoise school blazers, with Lenin badges on the inner lapel in the color of blood, tiny acts of rebellion. With no understanding of the horrors of the Soviet era, Lenin was just cool, the red, the bold opposite of the turquoise. They got off the bus. There it was, the statue. The statue of the naval hero, much celebrated by their school, though he actually had only been at the school for half a term, having allegedly been expelled for attempting to have sex with a duck.
That every man may do his duty. Quack, quack.
They stood at the foot of Nelson's statue, at the feet of the naval hero. The plinth was a lot taller than they were expecting when they saw it close up. It was the wet and the pre-dawn dew as well. One gave the other a leg up. They unfurled the hammer and sickle and attempted to tie it around the neck of Nelson, which was quite hard because the plinth wasn't designed for political protest. It was designed for imperial grandstanding. Blood-red gash across Nelson's chest.
Oi! You there!
A stern, forceful figure barreling out of the pre-dawn mist, flashlight stabbing the dark. They didn't answer, frozen in the frozen early morning.
I didn't fight in the war to stand by and watch yobs like you do things like that.
The school janitor, Scottish, ex-military, red-faced, breath like steam from an old-fashioned military engine. Of course, he got up early.
Take it down!
The boy atop the plinth stumbled, jumped down, scraping his shin on the stone and falling hard onto the cobbles.
Vandals! Terrorists!
They ran, gasping for breath. As they turned back, they looked back to see that the janitor had already fetched a ladder and was on his way to remove Nelson from his indignity. A sturdy servant of empire, huffing and puffing and doing his duty. 3 hours later, the boys were back in the solemn semicircles of turquoise, amongst hundreds of bowed heads, as the last post played on the bugle. Admiral Lord Nelson, duck fucker, England's proudest son, at his proudest hour, Trafalgar Day, the Empire having emerged unscathed from its brief encounter with Soviet Russia. The Lenin badges on the inner lapels of the coats in the cloakroom burned red in secret. The cheeks of the janitor burned red with pride that he had done his duty.
England expects.
Quack, quack.
In Europe and America, there's a growing feeling of hysteria, conditioned to respond to all the threats of the rhetorical speeches of the Soviets. Mr. Khrushchev said, "We will bury you." I don't subscribe to that point of view. It's such an ignorant thing to do if the Russians love their children too. How can I save my little boy from Oppenheimer's deadly toy? There is no historical president to put the words in the mouth of the president. We share the same biology, regardless of ideology. Believe me when I say to you, I hope the Russians love their children too. There is no historical president to put the words in the mouth of the president. There's no such thing as a winnable war. It's a lie we don't believe anymore. Mr. Reagan said we will protect you. I don't subscribe to that point of view. Believe me when I say to you, I hope the Russians love their children too.
Comfortable, warm and porridgey pillow with the texture of a facial scrub. Drifting slowly awake, I then realized to my own horror that the pillow was composed of my own sick. I could have died. Trying to piece together the night before, sitting on a low bench outside a pub, drinking vodka and big gulps of cider from a 99p 2-litre bottle, with Jane, who I'd had a drunken snog with, talking shit about communism and acting and what a dump Norwich was. Small towns and cities have a problem with teen drinking, of course. They're just so fucking boring. My grandmother was very fond of saying,
Only boring people get bored.
but she didn't have to live in Norwich. There's also a problem with a particular kind of violence that comes from small towns and cities. If you're different in any way, you get your head kicked in. And I wasn't even black or Asian, I was just a posh white boy who liked to wear floral shirts. My best mate Simeon used to cut about Norwich wearing coal eyeliner and long dresses. But strangely, he didn't have his head kicked in once. He was too much of a threat, too free, too defiant. He passed through the crowds of meat-headed, testosterone-fueled small-town teens as if he was parting a sea. They just didn't know what to do with him. I folded up the sheet with my sick, put it in the bin, covering it with newspapers so no one would see it. My hangover eased really quickly as I was only 14. I made myself a cup of gold blend, and Mr. Polly, my cat, sprang into my lap. And dug his claws in, and sometimes attempted to nuzzle up to my ear to try and lick earwax from it. Ah, gross, Mr. P, stop it.
You could have died.
I know. I'm sorry.
I like you.
I know. I like you too.
I would have been very sad if you had died.
Me too. If you had died, I'm sorry. 10 years later, I receive a phone call from my mum. She's had Mr. Polly put down because he was too ill. She didn't think to let my sister and I know that Mr. Polly was so ill enough to have to be put down. I would like to have said goodbye. I remembered listening to her voice on the phone that day. Our journey from London to Norwich in the Morris Marina, and feeling a bit sick and queasy, and feeling gradually disconnected from our mutual home city of London, and yet, thankfully, innocent of what was to come in Norwich. Mr. Polly's eyes looked frightened. I tried to reassure him, but his fur stiffened. I was so grateful for that cat, so many times. His warmth in my lap on that morning, the greatest hangover cure, as I reflected on the fact that my life could have ended at 14. You can't beat death, but you can beat death in life. Sometimes.
Life is take you there in the midnight hour. I can feel your power just like a prayer. You know I'll take you there. I hear your voice. It's like an angel sighing. I have no choice. I hear your voice. Feels like flying. I close my eyes. Oh God, I think I'm falling out of the sky. I close my eyes. Heaven help me. When you call my name, it's like a little prayer. Down on my knees, I wanna take you there in the midnight hour. I can feel your power, just like a prayer. Oh, I'll take you there. Ah, 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 life is a mystery. Everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it feels like home.
Just like a prayer, your voice can take me there. You're like a muse to me. You are a mystery, just like a dream. You are not what you see. Just like a prayer, no choice. Your voice can take me there.
Life is a mystery. Everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it feels like home. No, no, no. When I look at their album covers, I can just hear their music. It's like cinema for the ears. That's all I want to do really, is sit in my room, listening to my music and designing album covers. There's not much else to do around here. I don't like football. It gives me the fear. I like to pretend I'm not there when I'm on the football field. I don't like boys. Well, I do, but I've got my guardian angels, my mum, my wee sister, my street of surrogate mothers. I want to split up with my girlfriend Linda. I know, I've got Hey, don't laugh. I don't know why we're together, really. She was in this big bunch of tough girls, a gang, really. She used to bully me. And then one day last year, she came up and asked if she could borrow my 12-inch Karma Chameleon. And that's where it began, really. Anyway, I gave her it, and we kind of became friends, and she was nice to me, and now we're boyfriend and girlfriend. I want to split up with her, but her mum's become like a second mum to me. Another guardian angel is Mr. Vernon, my PE teacher. Last week he said to me,
David, you don't like football. Well, we're playing football. Why don't you go and practice your music?
that was so kind of him to say that, to give me permission. I've got a secret. I fancy Mr. Vernon. He's fit. He's like a bear. I fancy Andrew too. He's my brother's gang, but he's quite cool and arty. Mr. Vernon fucking hates my brother, even though he's brilliant at football.
Right, Jones, my office now.
Andrew looks like that guy for Depeche Mode. He wants to be a writer. I think he's going to be famous. I can imagine his name on the front cover of a best-selling book someday. Andrew O'Hagan. I've got a part-time job now. Safeway's just round on Irvine High Street. It's okay, Tuesdays and Saturdays. And Tuesday night, I was at my till, my hair spiked with my sugar and water solution as always. And this customer comes up, grey-faced, a face you couldn't imagine smiling, like a gravestone. Greasy hair, a face like death.
You poof.
He spat in my face, right in my face in front of a queue of customers, and no one said anything.
Just wait, Sulka.
I gave him his fags, stunned, his spit still running down my cheek. I forget to ask for the cash. I like the sanctuary of my room. It's mine. My albums, my Walkman. The other night there, I was listening to the Duran Duran album. I tied my school tie around my head like Simon Le Bon. And then he bursts into my room, hovering there on the threshold, not wanting to be infected by me, or my stuff, or my music.
You fucking poof. You try to be like him.
He points to a poster of Boy George. Not him. I points to Simon Le Bon.
I've caught you now, you wee fanny. I've got my eye on you. You fucking make me sick.
He always seems to be there. That gaze, that cold basilisk stare.
I know who you are. You make me ill.
Did you know I was the 1979 disco dance champion of North Ayrshire? In 2 categories, solo and best ensemble, tracks from Greece. All the entrants that year were doing tracks from Greece. I overheard one of the mums saying,
Oh, look at that wee solly sweat buckets. He must be so nervous. Oh, what a wee shame.
what she didn't know was I'd get into the loo, splashed water on my face, under my arms. I wanted that sweaty John Travolta look. I wasn't nervous at all. I knew I was a good dancer. My girlfriend Linda, she's so jealous of my friendships with girls. I love girls. At my house party the other weekend, she sat there with her face fuming, everyone getting pissed, and Andy and Maureen definitely shagging in my mum and dad's bedroom upstairs. And she's sitting in the centre of the living room, frozen-faced and knitting. Knitting!
Have you seen David's girlfriend? She's sitting there doing her knitting.
Her protest. She just wanted to embarrass me. We haven't even had sex yet, although she keeps on at me about it, but it makes me feel sick. I'm like a liar. And she's sitting there, cross-legged with her knitting, and the others laughing, sitting there like a wee granny. I'll never forget that night. The night my pals named her.
Knitting Linda.
The name stuck.
David, where's Knitting Linda?
Shut up! I have to end it, but I'm afraid to. She's got a vicious fucking temper, and those knitting needles. Then I won't see her dad again. That's my biggest secret. I fancy my girlfriend's dad. Fuck, I have to end it. She's got the house to herself. In 2 weeks, she's threatening to have sex with me. Fuck, the clock is ticking. Knitting Linda. I hate to think what she's going to do with those knitting needles when I refuse her. I wish I'd never given her my Karma Chameleon 12-inch. I'm never getting that back. Do you know, I'm the only one in a school of 900 doing O-grade music. My piano teacher, Mrs. Baird, love her. She's so nice. But my classroom music teacher, he's constantly disparaging the Cocteau Twins. And when he does that, I feel as if he's disparaging me.
David, that's not real music. Listen to that voice, it's processed. That's not real singing.
I don't care. I'm going to hear them live in the Barrowlands on the 9th of November. I wonder if Andrew's going. Oh, I'm getting out of here. Next year, I'm going to apply to the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama, and I'm going to write music as good as the Cocteau Twins. And I'm going to tell my wee sister my secret, that I like boys. I trust her. She's my best pal. Nicola, I like boys. And one day I'm going to ascend from here, the way Liz Fraser's voice ascends from Grangemouth. weaving our magic across Scottish skies in sunbursts and snowblinds. Waves drift from your shadow, your tranquil soul set sail, safely dreaming wallow in sunset's sleeping veil. The seas will lavish in your eyes. Breathe the open air and rest with the tide. Leave the troubled road behind and you'll find your heart is graced with light. Lend the moon a hand, share a wandering mile, while stars make space your resting place. Embrace their gentle smile. The seas will lavish in your eyes. Breathe the open air and rest with the tide. Leave the troubled road behind and you'll find your heart is graced with light.
At the tender age of 65, which seemed a lot older in the 80s, my grandmother decided to take up gliding. She flew her first solo glider flight in the year she turned 70, with as much abandon as she'd drive a car across a frozen lake, or charge across a picnic field with a picnic hamper looking for an elusive patch of blue sky, or change drivers on a busy roundabout. My grandfather, who was as pessimistic as she was optimistic, sat in his car on the ground, frowning and grinding his teeth with anxiety, but she was completely unfazed. He did his thing, she did hers. I imagine she must have had a very small amygdala, or possibly was lacking one completely, because she seemed to have absolutely no fear about anything. Just boundless optimism and curiosity and eccentricity. She always insisted on wearing white silk gloves when she went up to London, and insisted that Range Rovers were uncomfortable even though she'd never been in one. Every morning she did her morning exercises, which consisted of star jumps and other aerobics, so even though she was born in 1912, she was an 80s kid. Her morning exercises and her daily swim were probably strong contributors to the fact that she lived to 97. Though on the other side of the balance sheet was the wine for lunch, pre-dinner cocktail, white wine and red wine for dinner, and post-dinner port. But it was, I think, because she lived a life of such amazing purpose that led to her longevity. The simplest task, like writing a shopping list or weeding the garden, was somehow imbued with the excitement of a great adventure, and I would trot along in her wake, completely entranced. Their home was where I saw my first Rubik's Cube, my first dictaphone, my first VHS recorder. Both my grandparents were fascinated by the latest thing and by current thinking. I imagine she must have been a very, very difficult mother, but she was a wonderful grandmother to me. She was a detailed documenter of our family. Her photograph is featured in the poster for this show. She was a trailblazer for me and for others. Her seminal textbook on microbiology is still featured and studied in medical school. She died in the year of the COVID pandemic. No, she didn't. She died in 2010, the year the iPhone became popular. I thought of her many times during the COVID pandemic and imagined her articulate response. She was a trailblazer for me, but I followed the artistic path. In her house, the glamorous was made every day. My sister and I would go to Alistair Sims' house for Coke and crisps. He lived next door. My daughter still wears the coat that Alistair gave me. The first actor's dressing room I ever went to was George Cole's at the Theatre Royal, Drury Lane, where he was starring in The Pirates of Penzance with Pamela Stephenson and Tim Curry in 1983. I think for my whole life, I've been in search of strong-willed, powerful women as a result of her influence on me. My taste for quirky footwear is probably a continuation of her genetic inheritance. A neighbor of my parents once asked me,
Do you do anything normal?
to which I said, no, who wants to be normal?
Oh.
My grandmother taught me that the wood pigeon's call actually means, you poor fool, yes you. I've heard that call many times during my life at key moments, and it was often appropriate. She knew all the Latin names for the trees and the flowers, and tended her large garden with exquisite care, her white alabaster skin protected by her broad-brimmed straw hat. She was a wonderful grandmother to me. I hear her voice often, a ghostly audio guide for my life. I once saw her, and indeed she was the only dead body I've ever been in the presence of. She died 10 years before the COVID pandemic. She looked calm, peaceful, and serene, even in death, and even optimistic. And sometimes I look up to the sky and I see a glider and imagine her at the controls with a beatific smile on her face. She taught me to live with purpose, and I hear her voice guiding me through my life. And in her genetic inheritance, I carry her optimism still. One must always wear one's white gloves when going up to London. There's a tiny patch of blue sky just ahead. The traffic is dreadful in Oxford. Let's change drivers here. But this is a roundabout? It'll be perfectly fine. Are you sure it's safe driving this car across a frozen lake, Joan? I've decided I'm going to take up gliding. That's Hyacinthoides non-scripta. That's Galanthus nivalis. That's Tulipa jesneriana. You poor fool, yes you. Poor fool, yes you. You poor fool, yes you.
Last night I dreamt that somebody loved me. No hope, no heart, just another false alarm. Last night I felt real arms around me. No hope, no harm, just another false alarm. So tell me how long before the last one. So tell me how long before the right one. The story is old, I know, but it goes on. Goes on. Goes on. Goes on.
The small town boys, hoping and dreaming of love. Romance Horizon.
Dreams are like angels, they keep bad at bay. Love is the light, scaring darkness away. I'm so in love with you. Make love your goal. The power of love, a force from above, cleaning my soul. Flame on burned desire, love with tongues of fire, purge the soul, make love your goal. I'll protect you from the hooded claw, keep the vampires from your door.
When the chips set out, I'll be around
With my undying, death-defying love for you, envy will hurt itself. Let yourself be beautiful.
sparkling like flowers and pearls and pretty girls.
Love is like an energy, rushing and rushing inside of me.
The power of love, a force from above, cleaning my soul. The power of love, a force from above, a skyscraping love.